Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. I actually can't believe I'm making a video about this because I thought that common sense would reign supreme, especially when it comes from an actual breastfeeding expert. But we live in that day and age where you can't be a female expert in this specific department that only females can do because you have the trans mob that goes, no, you need to be quiet, women. Men are now going to take over and say that breastfeeding, even though it's not breastfeeding for men, it's more chest feeding. If you even want to go that far, you're feeding a child hormones and chemicals that no child has any business taking part of, and it's dangerous and it's harmful. You know, a real woman saying that you shouldn't be doing this, that's not good enough. Because nowadays you have the trans mob that goes after the woman that's an expert in that department and says, you know what? We're going to take you before a tribunal and you're going to face court for it, for saying that men should not be feeding a baby. Like, can we not, like, I'm trying to get my head around how in the world this woman is actually going before a tribunal for labeling trans breastfeeding, or call it chest feeding, experimental and a dangerous fetish. Like, she's right. 100% she's right. She's a Victorian woman. Again, makes total sense because it's in Victoria, wokest state in Australia. But I mean, come on. When does it end? When do we stop and go, enough is enough? How do we allow men to go this far? Like, it's bad enough that we've got men identifying as being women, but it's another thing that you've got men that want to feed into their fetish by allowing a child to suck on a male tit, for goodness sake. Like, it's only fulfilling their fantasy. It's not helping the child one bit. In fact, it's making the child's life a living hell and nightmare. And we don't know the full extent of what's going to happen. We know for a fact that no baby should ever have to be exposed to a male tit, for goodness sake. Like, that's one thing. And secondly, all the chemicals and the hormones that child will be pumped full of because of the male tit, you know, like, it's a Newman Goldfarb method, which is it was primarily for women that couldn't lactate. So all the chemicals and hormones that the woman would be pumped full of, it would be beneficial for her. But the trans mob have gone, you know, we're going to use this and we're going to experiment and see how it goes. It's a dangerous fetish. It's definitely experimental, and it's putting the lives at risk of the child. And that shouldn't happen. But here we go, ladies and gentlemen. A Victorian breastfeeding expert says she will not be silenced as she faces legal action over a series of social media posts denying trans women can breastfeed. She's facing legal action. She's an expert in breastfeeding. But you can't be an expert in breastfeeding these days because the trans mob goes, no, this is offensive. This is discrimination. Jasmine Sussex is her name. So she's been taken to Queensland Civil and Administrative Tribunal by a trans, I'm not even going to say mother, I'm going to say by a biological dude that is so delusional that thinks that that person is a mother of sorts. You're not a mother. You're not even a father. You're not even a parent. What you are is a delusional dingbat that should have no access whatsoever to the likes of kids. Anyway, after labeling attempts by trans women to breastfeed their children experimental and calling it a dangerous fetish, Miss Sussex raised concerns about Queensland's trans individual, Jennifer Buckley, who was born male but later transitioned into a woman. Can't transition into a woman, just that's scientific fact. We know that. Taking hormones to grow, well, moobs, bigger male boobs, and induce lactation to breastfeed the newborn baby. Unflippin' believable. Anyway, the Victorian woman is preparing to be called before the tribunal after Buckley alleged that Buckley had vilified Buckley online, calling the statements hurtful. Man, I'm trying my absolute best to keep it together here, but there might be a moment where I start yelling and screaming and flying at the moment. You've got to be kidding me. This is total insanity, man. I can only feel for Jasmine Sussex at the moment, being a woman, being an expert in this field, knowing full well how this stuff would actually affect a newborn baby. But no, the biological man that can't have his fetish normalized, it's hurtful. I identify as a woman, so that means it's so. So therefore, that gives me the right to do everything that a woman can do. But you can't, mate. You can't. And trying to do this sort of stuff, it's not healthy for the child. That child should be removed from this person's custody, if you ask me. But Miss Sussex, who was sacked by the Australian Breastfeeding Association in 2021 after 15 years as a volunteer breastfeeding counsellor because she refused to use gender-neutral language, told the Sunday Morning Herald or the Saturday Morning Herald she will not be silenced. Good on her. Oh, like far out. This story isn't getting enough attention. And that's another reason why I'm making this video. Like, I hope to God that this woman gets so much attention that all the women and even men too stand up for the likes of this woman, because this is common sense. Where is common sense gone? It's gone completely out the window, all in favor of this delusional dingbat that wants to chest feed and pump that child full of hormones and synthetic chemicals. That it's sick. It's just disgusting, man. But the tribunal, Australia's gone. If like we thought that the Sal Grover case was bad, yes, it's definitely bad. But this, taking a woman to court over her comments that she has a right to say, and she's a breastfeeding expert, mate, we're done. Seriously, we're done. There's no coming back from this. If you can say that men are able to chest feed or breastfeed a baby, for goodness sake, we're in a hellhole. No other way of putting it. And I'm glad that she said that she's not going to be silenced, not going to stand down. Breastfeeding belongs exclusively to mothers and our babies, she said. We are the only humans who can make breast milk to nourish our babies. Exactly. And that breast milk is unique for that child. It's not unique when a man does it at all. In fact, it's weird, it's gross, and it's sick. It shouldn't actually happen. They're trying to play God in that equation. And in fact, they're literally doing the devil's work. In 2019, Buckley shared online that Buckley's endocrinologist had asked Buckley whether Buckley also wanted to breastfeed, while Buckley's husband or wife, I guess, was 28 weeks pregnant. So Buckley identifies as being a woman who's married to an actual woman who was able to get pregnant. So, mate, why weren't you able to get pregnant? Oh, could it be that you're a biological dude and you don't have a uterus? You don't have ovaries? You got nothing that resembles a woman? So what gives you the right or makes you even think that you can breastfeed a baby, for goodness sake? I mean, the mother, the one that birthed the child, should be the one that breastfeeds the baby, not this dude. Good grief. Buckley said that Buckley had begun transitioning but was able to conceive using IVF, meaning that Buckley is the biological father. Buckley began taking hormones to stimulate milk production as Buckley's wife, this is just so strange, prepared to give birth because Buckley wanted to breastfeed as well. So you got two people. The mother, I assume, is going to be breastfeeding, the real mother. Buckley is not the mother, by the way. Never will be. And now Buckley wants to do it because it's an actual fetish for Buckley. That's just wrong on so many levels. For the past 6 weeks, I have been taking a drug called domperidone to increase prolactin O. Oh, boy. In an attempt to be able to produce breast milk so that I have the experience of breastfeeding. It's an experience for this person. It's an experience. Buckley said it. Buckley wrote it on a Facebook post. So it's not wrong for Buckley to say that Buckley wants to breastfeed for an experience sake, but it's wrong for a breastfeeding expert to say it's experimental and it's a dangerous fetish. How the hell did we get here? Oh boy, the drug domperidone is traditionally an anti-nausea medication, and you're giving it to a baby. Wow. Absolutely wow. I'm just whoa. Trans women are also being supported to breastfeed their children at the Royal Women's Hospital in Melbourne. That line alone is problematic. I've read a lot of problematic stuff in this article already, but that one, in a female-only hospital, you're allowing biological men that identify as being women to give them the I wouldn't even say ability, but a way of chest feeding an infant. Shame on the Royal Women's Hospital in Melbourne. And shame on anyone that thinks this is right, by the way. You guys are sick if you think that. Far out. Good grief. Buckley caused a social media storm when Buckley shared Buckley's breastfeeding online, or chest feeding. Say the backlash included comments from Miss Sussex, who labeled the practice cruel and unethical. I would label it so much more than that, but I can't because of, this platform. But anyway, this is Buckley's delusional queer theory take on his experience breastfeeding. She wrote online. In November last year, Miss Sussex received an email from the Queensland Human Rights Commission to advise her that they were investigating a complaint from Buckley alleging vilification. So it's not bad enough, right? This person wants to have an experience of chest feeding or breastfeeding, whatever, right? This person actually thought that it was a good idea to go after a breastfeeding expert. Where does this person get off? Obviously not close enough to hell. But anyway, the complaint attempts to scrub from the public record my mainstream concerns and criticisms about male breastfeeding. Miss Sussex said, I entirely reject the claim that my measured criticism of male breastfeeding incites hatred, serious contempt, or severe ridicule towards him and other trans women. I agree. Thank you so much for common sense. Miss Sussex brilliantly said. The research about trans women breastfeeding appears to be contested. Gee, I wonder why that is. Because you shouldn't be doing it. Several studies have found trans women are capable, or men are capable of breast milk, but that it may not be sufficient for exclusive nursing because it's dangerous. There's also another trans woman that was HIV positive and was breastfeeding or chest feeding a child of sorts. I'm not sure if it was actually that person's, but anyway, there's that story too. Buckley, who described Buckley's self as a loving mother of a beautiful little boy. You're not a mother, mate. Stop with the delusion. So they want to remove the language of mother and father and replace it with parenthood and whatever else, but they actually use it themselves. They want to remove it for everybody, other person that lives in sane land, but they want to keep it for them. Like, that's just ridiculous. Told the Saturday Herald Sun, Buckley's wife had encouraged Buckley to try breastfeeding. Oh, so not bad enough that the woman allowed this, but also encouraged it. Good grief. And that's another problem. Women, modern feminists, the like, encouraging this nonsense. It's going way too far. You've taken it to the cliff and you've jumped off the cliff and we're heading towards the rocky below quite fast, I might add. Following advice from the endocrinologist. Buckley said Buckley was told it was no different to inducing lactation in non-pregnant mothers or those mothers who are not producing enough milk. That's what it was intended for, the Newman Goldfarb method. over the past 3 years, Jasmine has made repeated public statements about me and my family that are harmful, hurtful, and false. No, they're truthful, factual, and right. Maybe you should just get over them and not attack an actual woman. What's that saying? Despite a series of complaints to multiple Queensland authorities, one of which resulted in Miss Sussex posts being stripped from the internet, Buckley denied trying to silence Miss Sussex. Yeah, right. So I'll just take her to court instead. I'll try and silence her there. Like, what does that tell you? Not let it go. Let the truth reign supreme. No, I'll take this person to court. And I mean, also the tribunal actually using this complaint and running with it, that's also problematic, because if it's one thing the South Grover case told us about women protecting themselves and having rights to do just that, what's this saying? Whoa. Like, I never thought I'd see the day. Here we are. Don't give up, Miss Sussex. Do not give up at all. Keep on fighting, and I'm right here with you as best I possibly can. Anyway, my friends, you guys take care. You blessed, and I'll see you all in the next video. Share this one like there's no tomorrow, please. Let everyone know. Be blessed.